Commissioner Dobb, Commissioner Clark Coleman, Commissioner Kniezek, Chair Basham.
Here.
You have a quorum present.
Next item, Madam Clerk.
B, Chair's remarks.
I have none.
C, approval of the March 8th, 2023 meeting minutes.
Can I get a motion? Moved by Commissioner Dobb. Can I get support?
Commissioner Killeen supported.
All those in favor? All those opposed?
Please vote on your tablets.
We're transitioning to IT stuff. I'm still verbally looking at people. Okay. Irma, you want to finish voting, Irma? Commissioner Coleman? Okay. Ayes have it. Next item, Madam Clerk.
Finished business. There is none listed.
Okay, next item.
Item 1, under new business, forwarding a copy of the independent auditor's agreed upon procedures report on the Wayne County Commission for the period of January 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2020.
Okay, I'd like to at this time welcome Auditor General Ms. Cora and her staff and her guest. Please proceed, Ms. Cora.
Marcy Cora, Auditor General. I'll have Tim and Cynthia introduce themselves, then I'll have the auditors introduce themselves.
Tim Johnson, Director of Administration.
Cynthia Douglas, Executive Assistant to the Commission.
If the auditors could introduce themselves for the record. There's a little red button. Just a little gray, sorry.
Oh, good morning, Erica Battle, GJC Advisors and CPAs.
Welcome.
David Ishaki, GJC CPAs and Advisors.
Cora?
What you have before you today, every 2 years, Office of Auditor General goes out for an RFP to contract with the independent certified public accounting firm to do an audit of the commission. Our office is also included as part of the audit of the commission. This is in accordance with Chapter 65-8 of the Code of Wayne County Ordinances and duly adopted Ordinance 95-139. For the period of January 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2020, the OAG contracted with the certified public accounting firm of George Johnson and Company to perform the agreed upon procedures engagement. I'll now turn it over to George Johnson and Company so they can go through the presentation.
Testing. Okay. Good morning. Just a reminder that we were engaged by the Commission to perform an agreed upon procedures engagement and conducted our engagement in accordance with the attestation standards established by the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. We performed additional procedures. We were not engaged and did not conduct an audit or review engagement, the objective of which would be to an expression of an opinion or conclusion respectively on the compliance with the Commission's procedures for making disbursements and other policies. Accordingly, we did not express such an opinion on these conclusions. Had we performed these additional procedures, other matters might have come to our attention that would have been reported to you. And with that, we would like to review the conclusion of our engagement. As mentioned, the period we reviewed was January 1st, 2019 through December 31st, 2020. We were engaged to evaluate whether the Commission's policies for making disbursements were properly followed, including payroll, non-payroll disbursements, and whether the Commission followed all prescribed procedures regarding mailing expenditures, maintenance of minutes, budget submissions, and monthly expense reports, and procedures for reports issued by the Office of the Auditor General, or the OAG. All records and information that we requested were freely available for our inspection, and management and other personnel provided full cooperation. Our scope of services. Our procedures were determined based on a discussion with the Commission's key personnel on April 28, 2022. We concentrated our procedures on the following areas: non-payroll disbursements, mailing expenditures, payroll and human resource management, maintenance of minutes and compliance with meeting procedures, compliance with policies concerning budgets and monthly expense reports, compliance with policies concerning reports issued by the OAG. We also considered the results of the last agreed upon procedures engagement for the commission covering the period January 1st, 2017 through December 31st, 2018, and for which the independent auditor's accountant report was issued on August 29th, 2019. And we reported on the current status of each of the matters identified during that engagement. We included in our report any issues and deficiencies that we identified during our testing. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, David, to review the findings of our agreed upon procedures.
Thank you, Erica. We're looking first at non-payroll disbursements here on this page. And the step that we started with in this area was to obtain a listing of all of the disbursements from the administration, policy, clerk, and fiscal departments, as well as the Office of the Auditor General for the period previously discussed. Of these selections, we identified 860 total disbursements from the administration, policy, clerk, and fiscal departments, of which we tested 43 or 5%. We also identified 76 total disbursements made by the OAG, and we selected 4 of those for testing, which is also 5%. For each item selected for testing, we verified that the contract or other documents were appropriately executed. If the cost was for travel expenses, we verified that the charge was appropriately made to the county's American Express card or reimbursed in accordance with the county's travel policies. We obtained approved vouchers or purchase order forms for each item. We ascertained that proper support was included for the disbursement, and we ascertained whether or not the disbursement was recorded in the correct general ledger account and in the correct period. I'm pleased to say that there were no exceptions noted as a result of this testing. Moving next to mailing expenditures, we obtained a list of mailings sent within 30 days of the 2020 primary election. There were 8 such mailings identified, and for those 8, we selected 2 items and performed the procedures identified, which include ascertaining that the mailing contained no campaign-related announcements, that the target audience was limited to the respective commissioner's district, and that the disbursement details showed that the county share of the cost did not exceed $500 in accordance with the commission's policies. Once again, there were no exceptions identified as a result of this procedure. Turning our attention now to payroll and human resource management, we obtained listings of legislative aides, OAG employees, and commission staff for both 2019 and 2020. From these lists, we selected 9 legislative aides in 2019 and 10 in 2020, 2 OAG employees in both 2019 and 2020, and 9 commission staff in both 2019 and 2020. For the legislative aides, we verified that the pay rate was appropriately approved. For the commission staff and OAG employees, we obtained screen prints showing that the pay rate was approved. For the legislative aides that we selected for testing, we ascertained that the report of hours was signed by the appropriate commissioner as well as the commission staff in accordance with policies, and that the payroll certification for the respective periods we tested was signed by the appropriate commissioner. For all employees we selected for testing, we traced the hours from the timesheets to the payroll report, as well as traced the pay rate to the employee's personnel file to ensure that the payroll charges were appropriate. In this testing, we noted that for 1 of 18 instances tested in 2019 and 1 of 20 instances tested in 2020, the payroll certification did not contain the commissioner's signature as required. In addition, for 1 employee in 2020, the selected employee was not listed on the payroll certification. Yes.
Okay. If I may, can you hear me? Has that been corrected, and you know, why did that happen, and how has it been dealt with, and does the commission know about it?
Through the chair, Tim Johnson. Yeah, the commissioners knew it that for the employee that was involved, and you know, we are taking precautions to make sure that all the signatures, proper signatures on payroll certificates are provided.
So that commissioner knew that that commissioner didn't follow the county's rules and guidelines? What about the rest of the commission? What about the chair of audit?
I think
About the chair, I'm sorry.
they're aware of the procedures and what needs to be followed for payroll.
Why do you think that the whoever's district that happened in, why do you think it happened?
Just an oversight. COVID was an issue with people in and out of the office. I think we don't want to hold up a person's payroll. So those are some reasons that we get this to occur.
You have to turn it into someone from each time. It's supposed to have a signature on it before we issue a, goes to payroll to issue it.
Correct, but with people not in the office, we don't want an employee not to be able to go get the paycheck.
All procedures also, that's just my personal thing, so.
Written it up going forward.
Never happen again, correct?
Hope not. We'll do our best not to.
Please proceed.
Thank you. We move now to the minutes, and we identified 24 meetings of the commissioners in 2019 and 26 meetings of the commissioners in 2020. We made selections of 2 meetings from 2019 and 3 meetings from 2020 and performed the procedures listed, which included obtaining the agenda and the minutes and verifying that the agenda was properly prepared and followed and that appropriate minutes were kept. If a commissioner was absent from the meeting, we verified that an excused absence was submitted in writing prior to the meeting. And if there were any unexcused absences, we verified that they were properly handled. We also ascertained that there were 2 meetings per month held in both 2019 and in 2020, and that the annual meeting was designated between September 14th and October 16th of each year. No exceptions were noted as a result of our procedures. Looking at the commissioner budget and monthly expense report testing that we performed, we obtained a listing of the commissioners and selected 1 month from the fiscal year ended September 30, 2019, and 1 month from the fiscal year ended September 30th, 2020 to perform testing. For the months selected, we selected 4 commissioners and performed the following procedures. Ascertaining that the budget memo was submitted and that the budget was approved by the first regular meeting in October, that the budget versus actual printout showed that the expenditures were within budget, and that there were 2 public hearings held for the annual budget. For the 4 commissioners we selected for the fiscal year ended September 30th of 2019, the budget memo was not retained as required. There were no such exceptions noted for the fiscal year ended September 30th, 2020. In addition, for one of the commissioners selected for testing for the fiscal year September 30th, 2020, the actual year-to-date expenses exceeded the budgeted amount by $3,369. No such exceptions were noted for the commissioners selected for testing for the year ended September 30th, 2019.
To that point, Mr. Johnson, can you respond to that?
Yes, one of the commissioners did go over budget that year. I think one of the factors is that we don't get our expenses in real time from management budget. That's not to blame them or anything. So I think that caused this one overrun on the commissioner's budget.
And it's a matter of record. Is that commissioner ever went over budget before?
Not to my knowledge.
So I really don't know, correct?
Not since I was in this position. I'm not sure about prior to that.
We try to look at our budget and make sure we don't go over it. And there is folks here from, finance for commission and rumors has it that same folks go over budget more than once. So my thing is we need to fix this and there's no exceptions for one commission district over another. That's all.
One of the remedies that the chairwoman is going to initiate is that if a commissioner does go over budget,
I appreciate that, and I appreciate that she's trying to do a great job. But still, if you give some folks too much leadway. We got to make sure that we all live by the same rules.
We're also going to tighten up our meetings with commissioners, Terrence Adams and his staff.
So, you know, that way it keeps the rumors at bay. Please proceed.
Thank you. Finally, we have a summary of the testing that we performed on the issuance of Auditor General reports, both drafts and final reports. There were 24 reports issued by the OAG during 2019 and 20 reports issued during 2020. We selected 2 reports from each of the years and verified that the procedures performed were appropriate and followed the Commission's policies. For draft reports, we ascertained that the transmittal letters were appropriately signed and that a summary of suggested actions was prepared. And for final reports, we ascertained the transmittal letter was signed, that the report was properly emailed, and that the processing sheet signed. We also verified that the DOP number agreed to the report processing sheet and the transmittal letter. And I am pleased to say that in this testing, we did not identify any exceptions. That concludes an overview of our report. If the commissioners have any questions at this time, we'd be happy to do our best to address them.
Are there any commissioners that have questions or comments? Questions or comments? Oops, I'm sorry. Oh, Commissioner Knezek has a question or comment. I have to look at the technology. I apologize.
Yeah, that's what we're doing now. We're using the technology. First, I want to say that when you got a sample size of 18, if there's one thing that was done, I think that's a mistake, Mr. Chair, an honest mistake. You make mistakes, I make mistakes, our staff makes mistakes. I want to say that I appreciate the staff and their hard work. If it was 10 out of 18, 12 out of 18, absolutely a systemic issue that we'd have to address. One issue is a simple mistake, and I appreciate that on the staff. We just called the staff to the carpet and asked them to hold themselves accountable. I want to know what we're going to be doing to hold ourselves accountable. You just said that commissioners are overspending their budget. It sounds like they're repeat offenders. Let me finish, Mr. Chair. No.
You said commissioners. I didn't say commissioners. It wasn't plural.
A commissioner?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. A commissioner. So what are we doing to hold ourselves accountable? We just made the staff commit to us that they're never going to make this mistake again. What are we doing to hold the commissioner or commissioners accountable that we're not going to make the mistake ever again?
And that's well noted, but the point is it's a continual process, and to ignore it or sweep it under the table, if you may. I know people might not like for a commissioner to ask questions about, and this is an interesting meeting, that ask questions about staff or commissioners, but quite frankly, that's our job. So it's good to pat each other on the back, but quite frankly, when you see things that when they're going over budget and some of the stuff that's happened, and I've been here a number of years, a few more than you, and I've seen things happen. And so I just want to make sure that next year when we do the same thing, that we have an excellent 100% compliance. Thank you.
If I may, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
No disagreement with you on the importance of this exercise, and of course, defer to your wisdom and advanced age and experience. My point is, we just smacked around our staff for making mistakes, and we as commissioners are just going to walk out of this room without being held to the same standard. If we're going to treat them this way in public for a mistake, we should be treating ourselves the exact same way. If a commissioner overspent their budget, what are they doing to commit to you the same way that you asked our staff to commit to you that the mistake will not be made again? I support what you're trying to do here. I want us held to the same standard and treated the same way in public.
I agree with you. As a matter of fact, probably.
Then I look forward to that commissioner being held to that same standard in public.
Oh, we'll do it in public, and that's fine.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate your commitment.
And there's all sorts of stakes, including prime rib and those sorts of things. So, you know, you can talk about mistakes, but there's a lot of them out there. Thank you.
Mr. Chair.
Next item, Madam Clerk. Oh, so I'm sorry, Ms. Cora.
I add too to this process. I want to thank the auditors from George Johnson for the work they did. But most important, I think I want to thank Gina, Cynthia, and Tim Johnson for all the effort they put into this engagement. It's a lot of documentation that they have to pull, get together for the auditors. I think they should be commended for the work they did on it.
And I appreciate your comments. And to echo something, we're not trying to kill the messenger here. You got some, heavy work to do, and you're doing it. And the thing of it is, but I'm trying to live up to my job too, and so it's nothing personal. So thank you. Next item.
Need a motion?
Can I get a motion? Receive and file. Been moved by Commissioner Colleen and seconded by Commissioner Dobb. Any further discussion? All those in favor? I'm voting yes. Okay. Yes.
Motion carried.
Thank you. Next item, Ms. Cora, I'm sorry. Yeah, we'll do other matters. Go ahead.
Mike.
I'm having a hard time talking with my voice today too. The county's external auditors, Plant Moran, issued their opinion letter dated March 17th. The financial statement, Eckford annual comprehensive financial report was uploaded to the state prior to the March 31st deadline. So we're in much better shape than we were last year. They will be coming to the May 24th to make their presentation on the results of the financial statement audit. They have a conflict with the May 10th. So that's why we've scheduled it for May 24th.
Thank you.
And everybody should have received a copy of the act for the single audit.
Any further remarks? Next item, Madam Clerk.
Public comments?
Is there anybody from the public who'd like to comment? Ourselves? Anybody from the public would like to comment? Third time, anybody from the public would like to comment? Okay, next item, Madam Clerk.
Adjournment?
Motion. Been moved by Commissioner Colleen. Can I get support?
Support.
Been moved and supported. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Ayes have it. We are adjourned.